All right, before we get into the kitchen and I show you how to quarter a chicken, I'm going to walk you through the PowerPoint presentation so you have the theory part of it before we walk into the kitchen. This presentation was made by Gabriella Cesari, one of my students. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the joint. If you use your own elbow, the chicken wing, that's the same joint. If you use the bottom part of that chicken wing, it's easy to find the joint. When you find the joint, you just cut right between the joint. You want to stay in between, in this elbow joint right here. You want to stay in between. If you're in between, then you're not going to have bone on your knife, and it should go through like butter. And if it does, you hit the right spot. If you hit a bone, it'll stop. The knife will stop. Don't force it. Take it back out and try again. All right. Second thing you're going to do. Right here, you're gonna slice it between the leg and the thigh. Between the leg and the breast. The breast meat is right here. The leg is right here. You're gonna slice the skin. You're not gonna separate it. You're not gonna go crazy on it. You're just gonna slice the skin on both sides. All right. Next thing you're gonna do is you expose the backbone, right? And then you're gonna put and I'll show you in the videos, you're going to put one side of each in your hand, and you're going to break its backbone like you're a big-time wrestler or something. All right? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to set your knife. When you break it in half and you break the backbone, you'll see where the backbone's separated from bottom to top. You're going to set your knife gently in between the top and the bottom part of the backbone, lay it down on the cutting board, and cut through. Again, trying not to put your knife through bone as much as you possibly can. You're going to have to cut through some bones, but this is not, you don't have to do it the entire time. So after you do that, then you will definitely have two separate parts of the chicken. And the next step is going to be, I did it differently in the video. I did the breast first. It doesn't really matter which one you do first, but you're going to put your thumb on the inside part of the thigh. Your other four fingers are going to go on the outside part. You're going to, this hand right here is going to push down. Oops, I did not mean to do that. This hand right here is going to push down. This hand right here is going to push up. So what will happen is the thigh bone will pop through. And you can see the thigh bones right here, and it's popped through. Then all you have to do is set your knife between the thigh bone and the joints where the hip is. You're going for his hip. You're going to set the knife between the thigh bone and the hip, and the same thing, slice it. When you get to the breast, you're going to have it so it's facing away from you. You're going to cut it down to the sternum, right down to the breastbone. You're not going to cut through at that point. After you do that, you're going to take your knife, you're going to set it on top, and you're going to put your hand in the middle of the knife, not on the end, so if it just slides off, you don't get cut, in the middle of the knife, and you're going to push down hard and crack through the breastbone. After that, you're going to have two separate ribs, and one side is going to have just the ribs. You're going to have two separate breasts. One side's going to have just the ribs. The other side's going to have the backbone and the ribs. So you put your knife right on those ribs and between the breast itself and the backbone, and you push down hard until it breaks through. And then you have your four different quarters of chicken. You roast it, and this is a chicken breast final product. And then there's a couple of legs in here you can see as a final product. All right. Now, keep watching because I'm going to take you into the kitchen and I'm going to do one live right in front of you. We're going to do quarter chickens. We have a whole chicken. Yay. It's not going to be doing any dancing or anything anytime soon. What we're going to do is we're going to cut his wing off. We're going to use the bottom part of his elbow as our guide. So the bottom part of his elbow, we want to go through the joint. So this is his elbow joint. And as long as you hit the joint, you will go right through without any problem. If what happens is you go to cut it and you get stuck on something, that means you're on the bone. You want to hit the joint and go in between the joints. That way you're going to totally destroy your chicken. Again, go to the other side. You can feel where the elbow is, and if you use the bottom part as your guide, it's just much easier to use that. Boom, nice and easy. Okay. The next thing I like to do is I like to take them and there's the breast meat and there's the leg. I want to go straight down. I do not want to cut the breast meat, and I don't want to cut into the leg meat. I want to go in between in the seam. I want to do that on that side, and then I want to do it also on this side. And I want to keep the skin as much as I can where it is. Now, I'm going to put them like this. I take this thumb, put it over here, pick this thumb, put it over here, pretend like I'm a big time wrestler, and I'm gonna break his back. Crunch. Now, once I've broken his back, what I'm gonna do is, you can see where it broke. You can see where the backbone broke right there, okay, right here. So what I wanna do is I wanna put my knife right inside of there. I wanna avoid my knife cutting through bone as much as I can, because if your knife cuts through bone, then your knife ends up being really dull. Okay, so now we have the chicken is definitely cut into two parts. This is the back part, that's the top part. I'm gonna put this to the side just for a moment. All right, with the breast, what I want to do is I want to cut down to the keel bone or the breastbone. All right, so we all have it. It's right here in the middle of our chest. You're cutting down to the bone, but not through the bone. Cutting down to the bone until you can feel it. You're going to put your knife on the top. You're going to put your hand flat in the middle. Don't put it on the end, because if you put it on the end and you push down and it slides, you run the risk of cutting yourself. Put it in the middle and just go straight down. Okay, you have to cut through bone. There's no choice. There's no two ways about it. Now, once you cut through, one side's going to have just rib cages, and the other side's going to have the backbone. Here's the backbone and the rib cage. So what I do is I put my knife on this side of it. Again, rock it until I get my knife on the bone itself, and then cut through the bones. Okay? We're going to save that for stock. That's the backbone. Save that for stock. So here's the first two parts of our quarter chicken. We have two nice chicken breasts, and when I went ahead and cut the skin, I tried to keep it as much as I can. Now, if I'm going to roast this, I'm going to take butter mixed with herbs, and I'm going to put it underneath the skin, because the chicken is really good for you heart-wise, because the white part of the chicken does not have fat. The chicken fat is all in the skin. So if when you're cutting it apart, if you bust up the skin, it's really difficult to roast it and get a nice, good flavor on there. Okay, so we'll put that to this. Actually, we're going to put that right in our roasting pan straight away. Okay, now we're going to take the back part of the chicken. Okay. So I'm going to turn them around so the legs are facing away from me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my thumb on the thigh leg. So it's this part of the chicken. Put my thumb on the thigh leg, my other four fingers on the bottom, and I'm going to hold on to the bone. My fingers are holding onto the bone, clamping onto the bone, and I'm pushing up I'm pushing this arm down, this arm up, and I'm going to have the bone leg pop right through. Once I do that, I'm going to put it on in the joint, just like before. I'm doing my best not to cut any bones, because you cut bones with your knife, you end up having a dull knife. So we do the same thing on the opposite side. Do it till the bone pops through. Wherever the bone pops through, right, you can see the bone popping right here. You're going to take your knife and you're going to set it on there and cut right through. This is part of the backbone as well, and we'll save that for stock. So here's a big hunk of fat, which I do not really need. All right, so now we have our chicken quartered, and we're ready to roast it. Now, if you look at the bottom of the pan, you'll see that there's onions, skins, and there's celery with the leafy part, and there's carrots. I actually, on the bottom, I have carrot peels, right? The nutrients in vegetables, a lot of it is in the skin. We peel a lot of that nutrients away when we cook our vegetables. So I save all of that, and that goes in the bottom. The difference between roasting and baking, when you roast something, it's elevated so the air can circulate underneath. So by putting that mirepoix in there on the bottom, right? That's my roasting rack. Mirepoix is 50% onions, 25% carrots, 25% celery, right? Mixture, rough cut, and you can use the skins. I'm going to roast that off. All the flavor of that chicken will get into that vegetables, and then I will deglaze the bottom of the pan, and we'll make a pan gravy with that. Okay? Right, so we're going to roast off this chicken. I'm going to make a compound butter. What I've simply done is have room temperature butter, so it's soft and easily pliable, and I put pesto in there and a little salt and pepper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this around really, really well, and I'm going to use my hands, best tool in the whole kitchen. All right, once I get that all mixed around nice, what, then I'm going to lift the chicken skin, and I'm going to put the butter underneath the chicken skin. I'm going to divide this up 4 ways. So I have 4 pieces of chicken that I'm going to be cooking today. So I'm dividing this up 4 ways. Once I divide it up, and I get it all a little bit in each one, then I'm going to smear it around a little bit. And I'm going to try to make sure that I'm covering as much as I can. So in cooking, there's 2 different kinds of, when you make a turkey on Thanksgiving, I'm sure you've seen your mother or your grandmother open it up with a turkey baster, which is a real long tube. It has a squeeze ball on the end. And what they're doing is they're taking the juice from the bottom of the pan and they are squirting it on the top so it stays moist. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, except for I'm putting it under the skin, and what's going to happen is as it roasts, this butter is going to infuse itself and its flavor and those herbs right into the meat of the chicken. All right? So now I'm going to, once I'm done with this, I'm putting this on the outside. I'm going to put oil on the outside, salt, pepper, and paprika, and we're going to pop that into the oven at 350 for about 35 minutes. Our roasted chicken has come out of the oven, and now we have the pan. We've removed the chicken, and I have it on the stovetop, and you can see it simmering away. You can see on the side here, the brown part right here, and if I take some of the liquid, I can scrub it off. That's known as the fond, F-O-N-D, fond, okay? That's French for bottom or base, and what happens is when you roast anything, there's going to be juices, natural juices that are going to come off of that roast. So what you do is you use your mirepoix as your roasting rack. You then put the product on top. It roasts. When you add a little bit of water, you can deglaze, which is the process of removing the fond. 2 things happen. 1, you get all that flavor that you want to get, right, from the bottom of the pan. And all that is goodness. And the other thing will happen is your dishwashers will absolutely love you because you are kind of cleaning the pan for them before they even gets to them. So now I'm going to add a little bit of flour, and by adding flour I make what's called a roux, R-O-U-X. A roux is fat and flour mixed together in order to thicken a sauce. All right. Now this is a pan gravy. The difference between a pan gravy and a sauce is made strictly on its own. A pan gravy is made using the drippings that are on the bottom of the pan, which is again known as the fond. So once I've added my flour and made my roux, now I'm going to deglaze this. Now, if I was in a commercial kitchen, I would have chicken stock at the ready to deglaze it. I do not have this, so I will add a little bit of water. And I will allow the roux, the flour and the fat that's mixed together, I will allow that to do its job, and that will thicken my pan gravy up. And then I will strain that through a fine chinois or a fine strainer, and that will be our pan gravy served with our nice roasted chicken. All right, so my wonderfully highly educated daughter has told me that fond is definitely the bottom, but it's pronounced and said like this.
Au fond de.
That's au fond de. So the fond is the F-O-N-D, and that's what we call the bottom or the base in French. She also told me that I said that the chicken breast was the breastbone, and she told me that is the sternum, because she is a medical student, so she knows these things. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using this fine strainer, and I'm straining out my sauce. And I'm getting rid of all the impurities. Sometimes when you make roux, you get little balls of flour. We don't want any of that going into our food. A lot of times, when it gets to the strainer, you need to use a spoon. Just kind of move the stuff around. All right. So now we are all set. When our chicken is done roasting, we'll take it out of the oven and we will have a nice pan gravy ready to go on. So now we have finished our chicken. We have one that is barbecue sauce, barbecue chicken, which I made myself. And then we have stuffing and glazed carrots. And then we have another plate that has roasted chicken with the pan gravy, which you saw me make, also with stuffing and glazed carrots. Hope you enjoy cooking and have a great day.